Hi, Purushottam. It's very nice to have you in this meeting. And today I'm so happy to introduce to the audience Purushottam Sharma Tripathi. He's an advocate on record at the Supreme Court of India and a senior member of the Bar Council. Purushottam, are you happy to be with me on this show?
Yeah, hi Subhashini. Very nice to be on the show. Very happy Deepavali and the subsequent celebrations. Bhai Dooj is still on today. So I
Yes.
wish all the viewers a very, very happy and prosperous year ahead. Thank you for permitting me to be on your show. And I look forward to interacting with you and having a meaningful dialogue with regard to the legal fraternity and the legal side.
Great. I'm happy to Diwali viewers from my side too. Today, I'm so very curious about the judgment which has come out from the Supreme Court of India, which says that the final year law students will be allowed to give the bar exam. So I'll hand it over to you, Purushottam. Can you tell us a bit about the bar exam and the process of getting empaneled as a lawyer in India?
Right. Uh, Actually, before I take that question, I would like to divide your the answer into two parts. The first is with regard to law as a subject and a career option itself, and then subsequently the process and the methodology in which a person becomes an advocate and entitled to practice within the domain of India.
Great.
So,
Please tell us.
coming to the law as a prospect, the viewers are well aware that the legal fraternity is ever increasing, and I would dare say, that law is one of the most lucrative options for career prospects amongst students who have done their plus two or even after graduation. And it is vying for an equal or even a better space as compared to the other lucrative established career options like medical and engineering and IT, and you have various other entertainment, the ICE sector, so as to say. This is primarily because of the rapid strides which India has taken in terms of economic growth, and which has brought within its ambit an equal amount of regulatory complexities also. So you have a whole plethora of new laws which are ever being introduced to tackle various aspects of regulation, of new aspects which were never earlier thought about by the earlier regulatory regime in India. And
Right.
that has potentially also opened up a number of uh, scope for disputes, and that disputes ordinarily have gone into the streams of both litigation as well as the non-litigation. So by non-litigation, I mean the alternative dispute resolutions, which are mediation, conciliation, arbitration, lok adalat. So you will find that disputes have also commensurately also increased, and there has been a significant deficit in terms of trained legal personnel who can manage this type of ever increase in terms of disputes, and how to effectively and efficaciously with low cost resolve these disputes. And
Absolutely. I find that
lastly, yeah, and
even in my
lastly, I would say is that the role of technology that has given a totally new dimension with regard to regulation, with regard to the method of doing business, with regard to the method of even living one's lives. So that is why right to privacy, data protection, these have come to the forefront, which are still the so-called gray areas, and which
absolutely.
need a proper legal clarity, and for that, you need trained lawyers who can essentially do that. Yeah, you were
And
saying something.
yes, I was saying with the advent of AI, this whole landscape has actually become even more complicated.
Yes, yes. You are absolutely right. So AI is going to, many people view it as a disruptor, and many people think it as an aiding tool for effective access to justice and also justice dispensation. So, whichever side you are from, you cannot discount the fact that AI is there to stay, and it will definitely impact the way we are looking at our regulatory regimes, how to further strengthen ourselves, and how to protect us also with regard to any wrongful infringement which can be utilized by AI. On the other hand, how to harness AI into helping the economy, helping the nation, helping the legal mechanism also becoming more efficient, and maybe giving faster delivery of justice. So these are certain aspects which are there. So being a lawyer at this aspect, when I compare myself as a law student some 20 years back, and
Yes,
when I look at myself as an advocate with over 18 years, 19 years of practice now,
yes,
definitely there has been a vast sea change in terms of the potential of a law student to essentially chart out his own independent practice, or join various corporate houses, or join various law firms, become part of the judiciary, or become a think tank, policy think tank, or become an academic. So, whichever side you may look at, law is a very, very lucrative field. And to every student, whatever his capabilities are, I'm sure that he or her can very well harness those capacities and capabilities into using those potentials, the legal knowledge to further cement his or her career path. Now, having said that,
absolutely.
as you had indicated that the Supreme Court recently has allowed all final year law students to appear in the upcoming All India Bar exam, which is going to be held on the 24th of November 2024. Now, this is an interim order which has been given by the Honorable Supreme Court, which has actually started off by a case which was filed by a group of students who are again final year students in various law colleges. They moved a petition before the Honorable Supreme Court, a writ petition, wherein they said that all final year students should be permitted to provisionally sit for the All India Bar exam, and also see their results, so that it will ensure that there is no backlog with regard to, or a delay period between the day when they pass out their law course and the day when they are entitled to be formally entered into the register of the Bar Council. That means the day when they can get a certificate or a license to practice. So, normally, what used to happen was that the All India Bar exam was held in the month of November, and then the second exam is held sometimes in the month of May, June. Normally, your good self knows that by the time a person finishes the final year, that is
Right.
inevitably in the month of May and June. So, only those students who had actually passed out and got their provisional pass certificate from their respective colleges and universities, they alone could sit for that exam. Resultantly, they had to wait for 2 3 months, that is from June, July, August, September, in the for the month of October or November, when the exam was to be next held. As a
Right.
result of which, they used to have a waiting period of this 4 5 months, and before they could become a qualified advocate and get a formal license to practice from their respective bar councils. Now, this particular time lag has sought to be challenged by these students who said that they are being prejudiced.
Yeah.
And this is what the Supreme Court has taken note of, and the court has come to their aid and has given them this provisional permission that if any student seeks to, who is in the final year of his 3 year or 5 year LLB course, he
Yes.
or she will be permitted to sit for this AIBE exam, All India Bar exam,
Yeah.
which was going to be held, as I said, in November 2024, 24th of November, and can very well sit for it, get the results. And if in case he or she has passed the result, the moment he or she passes her regular law course in the month
Yeah.
of May, June, or July, will immediately become entitled to be registered as a practicing advocate, and thereafter become a registered advocate who can practice anywhere within the territories of India. So, this is a very, very seminal judgment, I would say, which impacts thousands and lakhs of students, in various years of their law course all across India, because in the law course during my time, there was this traditional concept of only 3 years law course, which was to be done after your graduation. But now the 5 year law course has also supplemented it, and rather in many ways has also become a better alternative for +2 students who can
Absolutely.
immediately go in for the 5 years. So normally, instead of spending 3 years in graduation and then doing a 3 year law course, you end up using 6 years of your academic life. Here,
Yes.
with +2, you can finish the BA LLB or BSc LLB or BCom LLB or BBA LLB, the twin degree course within a span of 5 years. Thereby, you cut 1 year. And
Yes.
here, with the AIB, you are able to further bring the gap between the date of registration as an advocate and the date of passing out from your bar exam to a very,
Right.
very minimal time period.
So this will benefit, I'm sure, a lot of people in the fraternity, including the law firms and the firms which hire lawyers right from college. Because I'm assuming that the joining dates and the ability to take campus placements would improve, right?
Definitely,
So will
definitely,
it
because
also help lawyers who actually want to practice in the court?
yes, it will, because what happens is, till the time you do not get registered with the concerned state bar council, what happens is that once a student finishes his law course, whether it is a 3 years law course or it is a 5 years law course, he or she mandatory has to get first registered as a licensed law professional. And
Right.
for that purpose, under the Bar Council of India Act, you have the apex bar council, that is the Bar Council of India, and
Yes.
under which the Bar Council of India has established a number of state bar councils all across the various states and union territories of India, so
Right.
that students who have completed their law course in one particular state or who are desirous of practicing in the courts of one particular state can, after finishing their law degree,
Yes.
go and get themselves registered as advocates and get their registration or enrollment certificate. That is
Yeah.
what it is known as, a lawyer enrollment
Yes.
certificate from the concerned state bar council. Now,
Okay.
if in case you do not have that enrollment certificate, you are not authorized to represent the interest of a client in the court of law, and
Okay.
hence you are unable to mark your appearance, you are unable to file your wakalat or power of attorney to represent the client in the various forums, and similarly you do not have any standing before the court to argue a matter. So definitely, the moment a person finishes the all India bar exam and
Yes.
immediately is able to get himself or herself registered,
Yeah.
that definitely will impact the status of that concerned individual. From a law student, immediately he or she gets elevated as a law practitioner or an advocate
Yes.
under the Advocates Act, who is competent to act on behalf of his clients, represent his clients in various forums, draft petitions, file petitions, argue cases. So
Right.
this definitely is going to impact that particular advocate. Normally, what used to happen is that you used to get yourself registered with the bar council, that
Yes.
too under provisional basis,
Okay.
subject to your clearing the all India bar exam. And then
So
that was a big Damocles sword, because as
yes.
you may not know, but it's quite interesting to know that in the year 2020, 1.3 lakh students had taken the all India bar exam, of which around 72% had qualified the All India Bar exam, and then subsequently they got enrolled as advocates. In 2021, the number of candidates reduced by around 20,000, so it became 1.1 lakh with a pass percentage of around 68%. And in the year 2022, again it became 1.2 lakh. I think that was mainly due to that COVID lockdown period, with a
Absolutely.
pass percentage of
Absolutely. Hmm.
70%. So it very well shows the fact that not everyone who gives the All India Bar exam
Yeah.
actually qualifies the All India Bar exam. and the bar exam also has a stringent standard of meeting a minimum eligibility of 60% to qualify that particular exam. And that is the reason why there is no guarantee of a student being provisionally enrolled as an advocate subject to the outcome of the bar exam and not knowing the fact that he or she has qualified or not qualified till the next time.
Absolutely. I think what is also very, very important to note, like you pointed out here, is that not everyone does qualify in the first attempt. So, do
Yes.
you have multiple attempts, provisions for multiple attempts, or how is it?
Yeah, this is a very, very good question which you have asked, Subhashini. Some of the key points of the All India Bar exam, I would just like to share. The
Yes,
first thing is eligibility. So only law graduates, either a 3-year or a 5-year law student,
yes,
who are doing the integrated program, as I said, BA LLB, BSc LLB, BCom LLB, or BBA LLB,
right.
who are enrolled, who are enrolled with the state bar council, they can appear in this particular exam.
Yes,
Now, passing of the AIB is necessary to obtain the certificate of practice or the enrollment certificate, as I have already indicated to you.
yes,
Now, the exam is held twice a year.
right.
So, as I said, the first exam normally after you pass out is in the month of November, and the second exam is sometime in the month of May. The exam format consists of 100 multiple choice questions, which
Okay.
cover a range of legal topics,
Mm.
especially constitutional law. You have the Indian Penal Code, now replaced by the Bharatiya Dand Samhita or the
Samhita.
Nyaya Samhita,
Mm.
and the Criminal Procedure Code, that is the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Samhita, the Civil Procedure Code, and a number of minor and major acts. So there are a total of around 50 minor and major acts covering commercial law, intellectual property rights. You have a contract, you have transfer of property, you have family law. So, labor laws. So these are various aspects of law which a person is expected to have already brushed up his or her knowledge with while sitting for this particular exam. Now, after this particular exam,
Yeah.
what happens is that if a person is unable to qualify in the first attempt, he
Yes.
or she can very well take up the second attempt
Okay.
with regard to giving this particular exam.
Mm.
But after the second attempt, if in case he or she is unable to qualify
Yes.
thereafter and has already taken a provisional enrollment with the Bar Council,
Yes.
in that period, then he or she would need to maybe will need to again go in for a re-enrollment process and
Oh.
then again be permitted to sit for the fresh enrollment so that the enrollment number will change to the subsequent year.
Oh, I see.
So,
Oh,
say for example,
interesting.
a person passes in November 2024, he or she
Yes.
will get a enrollment certificate of the year 2024,
Right.
which can also be repeated in the year 2025 for the next exam. But thereafter, if in case for some reason a person unfortunately does not pass, he or
Yes.
she can very well sit for the next AIB, but before that would need to re-enroll himself or herself in the exam for the with the Bar
Bar
Council.
council.
Now, those students who have not enrolled themselves with the Bar Council, there is no
Yes.
such upper limit with regard to the number of attempts. They can very well first clear the exam and then they can go ahead with regard to getting
Enrollment.
themselves enrolled. But till that time, then they would not be officially recognized even as provisional law practitioners or certified professionals who are allowed to provisionally practice the law.
I see. Well, you've been very clear about the law and the way to get enrolled.
Yeah.
I've been noticing that there is a lot of transparency in the way the Supreme Court is working, and the fact that the Supreme Court is making a lot of effort to bring all the case news out to the public.
Yes, this is a very, very widely, dealt with topics which is making a lot of news all around the globe, rather.
Right.
At the time of the Supreme Court having celebrated its 75th celebrations, year of celebrations,
Yes.
This was in the month of September 2024,
Yes.
as in just during the vacations which the Supreme Court had for the Deepavali holidays. It has launched a new web page on its official website, which provides summary of important judgments. So
Right.
you're absolutely right. The Supreme Court has taken a very, very novel, step to ensure that justice not only is made more accessible to the litigants, but even the law is made more clearer, and is made more simplified
Yes.
for the common masses and even prospective litigants who has to say. So, there is a very famous legal maxim which
Mhm.
says that ignorantia legal non excusat ignorantia uh, uh, factum dot excusa. That is, ignorance of law is not
Yes.
excused, whereas ignorance of fact is excusable. So,
Yes.
this particular feature of the Supreme Court having a new website, a web page on the official website providing summaries of its important judgments, I think that is a very, very salutary step for the law as codified and further clarified by the Supreme Court to be made more accessible to the common masses, so that the people are become more aware with the actual nature of the law and the path or the manner in which law is to be interpreted in terms of the judgment given by the Supreme Court. One must
Great.
also remember that the Supreme Court lays down law which becomes part of the law of the land under Article 141 of the
Right.
Constitution of India.
Yes.
Any judgment order given by the Supreme Court becomes binding on all courts and tribunals all over the territory of India. So, necessarily, the entire judicial mechanism
Yes.
becomes bound to follow the ratio or the most important salutary findings given by the Supreme Court in a particular judgment in their orders when they would be met, or they would be facing a similar nature of disputes between parties. And
Great.
to that extent, I would also like to state that I had also made a short note, summarizing the latest judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court, wherein it sought to strengthen child protection against sexual exploitation online. That
Right.
is
Right.
child
I remember the
pornography.
article. Yes.
Yes, yes. So that was dealing with replacing the term child pornography with child sexual exploitative and abuse material. So that
Right.
was a very, very major step ahead by the Honorable Supreme Court, I would say. It has
Yes.
expanded the accountability, and it has also urged for greater punishment and penalties. It has also urged the law enforcement agencies
Yes.
to work round the clock, use as much of scientific mechanisms and in the IT mechanisms to ensure that the online protection of children is
Yes.
made more robust within the territories of India.
Great.
So this was a very, very important key judgment which I had covered, and that also finds its place amongst the most important judgments which has been published in the website of the Honorable Supreme Court. And I
Great.
would request every viewer and every law student, even a regular, avid reader, to please do read some of these important judgments, just for the nature in which the honorable judges have addressed these path
Concerns.
breaking and contemporary issues on one side, and the manner in which they have dealt with each and every aspect of it.
Great, great. So, I would urge the viewers, if they want to reach out to Purushottam over LinkedIn, it's easy to find him there. It's Purushottam Sharma Tripathi, AOR Supreme Court of India, and I hope you can have meaningful conversations with Purushottam.
Yeah, I
Um,
really had a lovely time just to, make it more personalized, because, I can understand the viewers must be like, from where has this man come, and he's just giving his views upon the AIB exams and all. I just wanted to say that, during my time in the year 2001, when I joined the Delhi University and I took up the law course here, the LLB course, after doing my BCom from St. Xavier's in Ranchi. That was a small town then, but now it has become the capital of the new state of Jharkhand, which came into effect in 2000. At that time, definitely during our times, we had a couple of options alone. So in Delhi University, since this was the hub of preparation for the civil services and the judicial services, definitely that was one of the key aspirations of the law students at our time, followed by students who were keen to do higher studies and academics. And then, of course, you had the advocates. So during our time, because of the sheer restrictions with regard to potential growth aspects in the litigation field, we had a very famous saying that, जिसका कुछ नहीं हुआ वो वकील बन जाए. So that was a normal disdain for people to essentially hear. But I'm very proud to say that the last 20 years, the society, the economy, the legal fraternity itself has undergone a rapid transformation. And the legal field has become a very, very lucrative field whatsoever. And on a lighter note, I'll just like to say, that's what one of my famous law teachers, Professor B.B. Pandey, he used to tell us is that, when you get into litigation, because compared to the other fields, as I have already indicated, you are interested in the civil services or the judicial services. These are all government services wherein you can sit for the exams and then subsequently you give the interview and then you join as an officer, either a judicial officer or an administrative officer. The other aspect is with regard to joining a law firm, wherein these are group of high profile advocates who deal with the realm of corporate laws, and they handle some of the most important litigation and non-litigation disputes pertaining to the top multinational as well as the Indian companies within India and even outside India. So that is, of course, one of the other aspects where you can start as a junior associate. Thereafter, you become an associate, you become a senior associate. Within 10 years, if you are hardworking and you show enterprise, you become a junior partner, you become a named partner, and then you become an equity partner. So that is the progression in the law firm aspect. The third aspect is joining as a law officer in the corporate sector. So you join a company, you join there as a legal manager, and then you rise up the ranks. And according to the designation, you either become the general counsel or you become the assistant vice president legal, or in that manner, your upwards trajectory goes in the corporate side. Then, of course, you have academics, which again, you finish your higher studies. That is, you do your LLM, you do your PhD, your JSC, and you take up your area of expertise and specialization. If in case you want to get into academics in India, you need to sit for the national eligibility test first. And thereafter, after qualifying that particular test, you are entitled to also apply, and subject to having the academic criteria of minimum LLM plus NET and undergoing a PhD course, you can very well join as a faculty member with any of the law school.
So one query,
the last and the most reviled one is that of a litigating advocate. But I can only say that the Almighty has been very kind. It has been a very, very fruitful roller coaster ride, I think, with me, and I'm sure with all the other thousands of litigating advocates. And Mr. Pandey, Professor Pandey rather, used to tell us that how the rise of a litigating advocate is very, very commensurate with a typical story of a man who goes to a shop to purchase a parrot. And he's asked the shopkeeper that I want to purchase a young robust parrot, please tell me what is the cost. And the shopkeeper says that he will cost you 1,000 rupees. So he was very shocked. He said 1,000 rupees for a parrot, and the shopkeeper smiles and he says, well, sir, he can draft petitions. So the man looks, on the other side, and he sees a middle-aged parrot in a middle size, lush cage, having more spacious environment. And he says, "What about this parrot? I'm sure he'll cost less." So the shopkeeper says, "Sir, you are mistaken, but he costs 10,000 rupees." So the man was more shocked, and he said that, "Well, what can he do?" He said that, "Sir, along with drafting petitions, he can also plead cases." So the man was now, at his wits' end. Finally, he zeroes down on an old parrot sitting in an air-conditioned cage, doing nothing. So he thought that, he would be more easy to manage. And he says, "Well, I'll go in for this old parrot." So the shopkeeper says, "Sir, I'm sorry, if you can't afford the other two, I'm sure you cannot afford this man. He'll cost you 1 lakh rupees." So the man is flabbergasted, and he looks at that man, and he says that, "Well, what can he do?" So the shopkeeper says, "Well, sir, I've never seen him doing anything, but I've heard the other two parrots whisper among themselves and call him the senior advocate." So I think, the trajectory of a litigating advocate, so as to say, is only like a, old wine in a old bottle. The more older you get, I guess, your flavor and your tenor, your manner of approaching a case, and of course the commensurate fees definitely has a very, very upwards trajectory. I am somewhere in the middle size parrots cage. I'm hopeful of going towards the older side, and I invite all our law students to please do come and join as the young parrots, so as to say. But definitely in the present scenario, I'm sure that the young parrots will be very well compensated. So things have changed a lot from the times when we had started our practice. And I wish all the young law students a very, very prosperous year ahead of them. All the final year law students of LLB and LLM to best of luck for giving their upcoming EIB exam.
Yes.
And it was a real pleasure to interact with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on this show, and we look forward to many more conversations with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.